Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Ed Parcaut of Helping the Brave. Let's bring in our guest today, Mr. Juan Espinoza. How you doing, sir?
Doing pretty good yourself?
Not bad. All right. The same question I always start the show with. What service were you and why?
I was in the active duty army. I went in because I felt there was more of an impact that I can use. I didn't really focus too well in school, so it's probably the only option for me.
No, but why the Army?
That was the first person I saw. Honestly, I went there, saw them, they took me. I tried to go Air Force, but that didn't work. So
Yeah, well, they're picky.
they literally had their doors closed and they're like, send us an email.
Oh,
I'm
really?
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. My son's in the Army right now. And when we first went to Air Force, they wouldn't guarantee his job. Went over to see the Navy. I'm not Navy, the Army. And they're like, yes, we'll guarantee you. Boom, boom, boom. And he did it. And he went all the way through airborne. And I was in the Navy, and he asked me, should I go check the Navy? I'm like, dude, you'll get on a ship. You won't be like me, got lucky not being on a ship. So don't even try. You'll hate it. So, all right. So how long were you in and what was your MOS?
So I was in for 4 years active duty. MOS was 11 Bravo infantryman. And then I transitioned to the Guard, military police for several years after that.
And where were you stationed? Where are you from originally?
So I'm originally from Sacramento, California.
Oh, I'm in Modesto, by the way.
Oh, nice. It's probably was it an hour and a half from here?
Yeah, it depends on traffic.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I was stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Did about 3 years. And then I came back home and stationed over here.
So over here, still in Sacramento?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So so I was in Southern California. I was in Turlock, high school in Turlock, joined the Navy to see the world. I got to see San Diego and Texas.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to see a really good part of the world. I was in San Diego for 20 years. I was only in for 5 years, 5 months and 14 days, but who was counting? But I was stationed at Camp Pendleton, which was great for a Navy person. It's much better than being on a Navy base. No one messed with you. So you're in Sacramento. So you were as an infantry person, when you got out, what did you do when you got out, when you transitioned? All right, let's back up a second. Maybe I'm going too fast. Anything major happened during your when you were in? Did you get deployed?
Yeah. So I went to Afghanistan back in 2010 to 2011. Then I got out, went to the National Guard. Then I deployed to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba back in 2015. Then I got out. Then I went private contracting for several years after that.
And what did you do private contracting?
I worked at a base. I can't say, but I worked in Afghanistan. Yeah, I can't talk about it.
In general, don't tell me where you went. Just in general, what was it? Same security kind of force time and stuff.
Somewhat, yeah, yeah, okay. Definitely.
Got an NDA. You can't talk about it.
Definitely.
All right. So after that, what'd you do after that? So I'm looking at your transition, because a lot of times when people get out of the military, when their transition out is horrible, they don't tell them anything. They don't tell them what they can go. They don't really tell them about how to get their benefits, what they learn. And also we go in with our blinders on, like, we're done. I want out of this. And when I got out, I realized Navy stood for never again volunteer yourself. So I didn't go in the reserves. And because everybody asked me, you're going to go in the reserves? I'm like, no, because if we go to war, they're going to take the reserves and activate them. Oh, they'll never do that. I go, yes, they will. They're doing it differently. And you can see in 2008 and everything they did up to that point, it was like, make this force smaller. We're going to use the reserves more. And that's exactly what they did.
Definitely. I think that's so. When I got out, really same thing, right? There's like, you're getting out. And then I think when you go from active duty and you're leaving, a lot of people are just like, they have the mentality where you're a traitor. So they basically don't give you anything. It's like, here, you leave, good luck.
And that's too bad, because there's so many things that they can help you with getting out, whether it's finding a job, all this other stuff. And there are organizations that are there for you, but not really. And the problem I've seen since doing the show is a lot of the nonprofits overlap a little bit. So they don't talk to each other. They don't help each other. They just go, we're too close. We can't help each other. And that's sad. It's supposed to be about the veteran, not about themselves. And
exactly. I 100% agree. I think they should definitely give more insight, if you want to do what you want with that insight, but at least give that to you. Yeah, they'll give you a pamphlet, but it's like, here, stack of papers and there you go, figure it out, right?
Right. And so after your last job that you did as a contractor, how did you transition to something else? What did you do? Did you go to school? I mean, what was
So I did
finish the
actually,
story, Juan? Come on, help me.
yeah, yeah. So basically, so long story short, I when I got out the contracting, I came back and I was like, well, I need to be here for my family. I have a daughter. I had a wife at the time. Um, I personally could do the contracting job for years on end, right? My family basically, they know, and I told them like, if I didn't have my daughter, I'd be overseas right now. It's comfortable. You make a lot of money, and then you come home. It's like, what do you do? I don't know. Do you go security or do you work be a cop? Which nothing wrong with that. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm trying to just figure things out. So I went to actually insurance. I was an insurance adjuster for several years after that, and I liked it. It's more just the analytical mindset of evaluating things, which in the military, that's what you do, right?
Mhm.
And so past that, that's where I basically my book came out. But yeah,
Oh,
I really had
so
no direction.
back up. Your book came why did you write a book?
So with a lot of people in the military, just people in general, we bury things, right? We
Mhm.
bury trauma. We don't talk about it. Why you're weak. We have that mentality. So that's what I did from my very intense deployment back in 2010, and throughout my life in general, I bury things. And there's just a point where I was just I don't know, was in pain, but I just wanted to go away. And I figured if I just don't recognize it or I don't address it, eventually it doesn't exist. It doesn't work like that. So back in December, a few months ago, I was just in a lot of pain. So I was working out outside, like typical people we do. We try to like just sweat it out. If we work out, eventually we'll feel better. It didn't work like that. In that moment, it was raining. It was dark outside, and it, I had like a metal awning in my backyard. So it was like that metal noise when it's like that tink tink noise, and it's just something I felt just walk out. So walking on the rain, I just fell to my knees and just screamed, "Tell me my purpose." Because at that point, it felt like life was just kicking me on the ground. I just couldn't get up. But in that moment, I felt a fire I've never felt before. And I stood up and screamed, after everything I've been through, after everything I've lost, you can't beat me. And in the distance, lightning went off in the distance. I seen a little flash. So I just felt it. I went inside, grabbed a bottle of whiskey, I dried off. I wrote my book in 2 days about
Wow.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, we were told to push it down, keep it, move on. It's and a lot of us. I mean, even myself, I've been doing this show for 3 years, and I interviewed a guy, and I was corpsman in the Navy, and I ended up working EMTs and stuff. I saw and different things that I went through and burn stuff and like that. And if you're not in combat, you're like, yeah, you can't have PTSD, and it's amazing how a lot of the veterans who never went to, who and please don't take this wrong, but we're lucky not to be deployed,
Mhm.
because I don't wish it on anybody. Because the stuff you see, no matter where you go, you should be taken care of. And the way the veteran system is, it doesn't really take care of us the way it should be taking care of us.
Exactly. I think that's a big thing. It's they don't give us the guidance, or just in general, anybody in a very traumatic field, or just anybody just that had a traumatic event, right? Car
Mhm.
crash, work EMT,
Your buddy
sheriff.
get killed,
e-
whatever, in training, even if it's in training or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that we see that we're just deal with it, move on.
Exactly. I think the big thing is how do you deal with it, right? No one teaches you how do you handle this trauma. So you bury it or you go to a vice. That's usually the two options. No one talks about it. I think that's a very important thing to address.
And for the longest time, PTSD had a negative stigmata against, and I say stigmata for a reason, but it was you can't talk to people about it. It was like keep it to yourself. You can't get a job. You can't do this back. I'm talking 20 years ago and 10 years ago, and then since then it's gotten better to where people understand this is just stuff you have to help yourself overcome and get through it. You don't always get rid of the PTSD, just learn to live with it. And that's the coping mechanisms that we need to understand. And I've gotten more into this by doing these shows and understanding stuff, to a point now that I'm helping somebody. We're creating a veterans benefit company because I don't know if you saw there was a huge thing in Congress about it just the other day about all this. There's so many companies out there taking advantage of veterans, and we need more companies to step up and help veterans get their benefits.
Definitely. I think the big thing is it's that stigma, right?
Yeah,
Like you don't want to say like you went through something because now
things are tough.
you're labeled. Now
Yeah.
it'd be like, hey, don't, that's my brother, that's my friend. Like it's not like he was in the military, he has PTSD, and then you think, okay, well, he's crazy, right? They're thinking like the Vietnam era, which they didn't have that resources to address those things. So now guess what? You're crazy. You're a crazy person. So no one's gonna talk to you. So that's why everybody don't say anything. Like I'm not crazy. I just went through a lot. Like
Yeah. And it's difficult. I don't know if you've been through it to go through the VA to get seen or help for it. They cancel appointments. It's like I went through the process because I got tired. I don't how did I say this? Not that I got tired, but people were saying how bad it was. And I'm like, let me see how bad it is. They were kidding. They're not kidding at all. To be the first few appointments to be seen, they cancel appointments on you, reschedule. So I see how people with major PTSD will commit suicide because they can't get help. They can't get in through the system to get help
well,
because
I
it
think
takes forever to get in.
and definitely I think the big thing, especially when you're in like a very like a tough job, right? Infantryman, corpsman, stuff like that. You're taught suck it up, move on, take some ibuprofen, move on, right? So you never go to the doctor, right? Because you go to the doctor, guess what? Now you're this weak link in, your platoon or your unit. Oh, this guy's, he's weak because he's going to the doctor. So you get nothing documented. So when you go to the VA, where's your documents? Well, you don't have any. How can you prove you're in this condition if you never saw anybody? But you're in that divide where if you go to see somebody, you're labeled, you're outcasted. Pick one.
Yeah, but luckily now it's so much easier to tie it back. There's so many different ways because I just went through this with a ranger I met, and he went through it all with me, and I just submitted my package back to the VA to get my disability, and it's really understanding the process of how to connect it back to your stuff, and you can. It's not that difficult. The nexus has to be there. There's an easy way to do it, and so don't worry about it if it's not documented. It's easy to find and easy to deal with, and there's just ways to go back and get it taken care of. Because before, you're right, the biggest thing was, where is the documentation for this? It's not that way anymore as much. So,
Exactly. I think that's a big thing why a lot of people haven't went, myself included, was okay. Well, if you can't prove it, right? So I adjusted with being a insurance adjuster. I did a liability. So it's like, okay, can you prove your case? Where's the evidence, right? Just like in court, where's the evidence? If you don't have the evidence, you're just like, why go through it? Because I'm gonna get denied anyways, and the VA is just a pain to deal with. So it's like, why do all that if it's not gonna help? You
right, and
know?
that's why these companies come up, and for the longest time, I was against them. The ones that take 10 to 30% of your first check, I'm against. Now, a flat fee or a smaller amount, I'm okay with because they're doing work and they're helping you, educate you or whatever on those things. I can see a huge difference because if you're not gonna go get your benefits, because, I mean, sleep apnea is 50%. I mean, there's the way they calculate this stuff is so crazy, and I've learned how they calculate it now. I'm going, "Okay, I'm one of those guys. I figure ways around shit. That's what I do. I'm in the mortgage industry, so I help people get into houses. I don't break the line, but I push it and I figure ways around it. Same thing with this benefits. The problem that there is there's people who went to Annapolis or those kind of stuff, got injured on playing football, and they got 100% disability. And they're like, is that right? Where you have somebody who went to war and they got PTSD, they have this, and they don't have a benefit, they don't have anything at all because they didn't go back and get it. Is that right? No. And those things we need to make those changes.
I think that's a big thing, but also I think with us veterans, we need to do is we gotta swallow our pride,
Yep.
right?
Get help.
That's a huge thing is reach out, talk, get help. Like, are you messed up? Probably. Suck it up and get what's yours. You signed up to serve and things happen. I've seen people that broke a tooth and somehow they're able to get 100%. I'm like, how?
Well, there's
How?
people that I know that got yelled at that are 80.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense to me. But if people like that's been through it or
And I'm not knocking them, and because I told somebody else, if they're able to do that by just getting yelled at, that means it's open for the rest of us who really have issues to get the true benefits we need. But you're right. You need to say, I need help and go get them. And I relate this to your infantry. So if you were undercover and you were being shot at, wouldn't you call for air support?
exactly.
That's the same thing. So think of your air support is going to the VA and getting your benefits. If you don't want to do it, there's companies out there that'll do it. Reach out to me. I'll get you connected. Since you're local, you see the Operation Firewalk down there by my name. Check it out. We started it last year. It was a 2-day event. This year is only a 1-day event because 2 days is too much. Basically, we have a couple of motivational speakers. Then we have a guy that talks about, and then at the end of the night, we actually do a Tony Robbins type firewalk across coals for veterans to get past that limiting beliefs, walk through fear and all that. A lot of people like, it's not a big deal. I'm telling you, it's a huge change in people's attitudes. And it's May 3rd, 2025. You need to come down and be part of it because and bring other, I mean, I did it to save one veteran's life. I did it because I was the president of my Rotary for 23, 24. And I came up with this, or is it 24, 25? No, yeah, 23, 24. So and that was one of the things that came out of one of my podcasts. I was interviewing somebody and they were like, that no one's done a firewalk for veterans, and we agreed to do it. And we were the first one in the country for veterans.
I'll definitely be there. Definitely. Yeah. Because I think the big thing is why I wrote my book, right? I think the big thing is
I would tell you bring a couple of your books. Oh, you could have a little table with your books and you can talk to people about giving your books out. You know what I mean? Or donate.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out.
Definitely. Because I think the big thing why I wrote my books, I want to help people. Right. We don't talk. And I think the big thing in war, just either overseas or in a relationship or with yourself, war happens when you don't talk. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think that's where I was able to, I'm going to share my vulnerabilities. What's yours? Right. And just in the last few months since my book's been out, I've been talking to a lot of people and it's helped them bridge that gap because we talk. You know, I think that's important that we are able to make change, but it starts with us first. And we have to talk and help other people, especially veterans. Like we don't talk about anything. We bury that. Like
we don't want to show weakness.
Exactly. But I think it's okay. You know, before I thought vulnerability is a weakness, I see it's a strength to be able to share like what hurts you and still improve your life. That's courage.
Yeah. It's if you have family, you have kids, you have stuff. Most veterans don't deal with their PTSD until they're in their late 40s, early 50s, and they've ruined every relationship they had. And then they finally deal with it. The other ones is like right now, Vietnam vets and people in their late 50s, early 60s are having problems because all the kids are gone. It's just them and their wife. And now they're dealing with some quiet time and those things are coming back. And so they don't deal with it all the time. And PTSD does not mean that you're laying in bed in a fetal position. It could mean that you're a workaholic. You exercise a lot so you don't want any quiet time to think about this stuff. And you don't, a lot of it has. So there's many different. So a lot of people don't realize that if you want to know what PTSD, just ask ChatGPT what PTSD looks like for military people. And you'll be amazed because I had no idea. I have vivid memories. I mean, actual pictures of everything I've seen from that time. And I was talking to a guy, he's like, dude, you have PTSD. I'm like, no, I don't. It was that vivid memories that you're talking. You can describe everything you did on that and what you saw. Like I had one guy that got ran over in LA on his motorcycle and was drugged for 2 miles underneath his car. And he on his motorcycle and he came into my burn place at Camp Pendleton and I had to debride that. And the dude screamed every time for 2 days. And finally I had enough and I had him sent up to surgery, but I can still hear that dude screams these days. That was how brutal that was. That was just something that was just, when you cause pain to somebody trying to help them, it's not just one time. It's like for 20, 30 minutes, it's bad. And, and there's stuff like that that's one of the things I've had to do. I pulled duty as EMT at Camp Pendleton. We pull out to the freeway and there's accidents that we'd help out on and the shit that you see that you just can't unsee.
I think that's extremely important. It's because trauma or PTSD, not necessarily military, but in anybody really that's been through a traumatic event, things you remember, you remember everything, the details, the smells, the time of day it was, how it felt. And I think that's important that if we're able to talk about it, it holds less power over us and we're ready to move forward and grow. And I think that's a big thing. And for me, it's why I wrote my book and why I have my speeches. It's if I can save one person from, doing the unthinkable, suicide, to me, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Oh, yeah. That was my whole goal with the Firewalk. The first year I said, I don't care. We save one veteran. We save more than that. I talked to many veterans afterwards, and then a year later, how much change happened with their life from it. Now, and the first year I was like, it's veterans only, veterans only. But then I realized I relate more to a first responder because my stuff that I had was not in combat, but it was what first responders see. And so we do it for veterans, first responders, and their families is who can come to the firewalk, because I think it's important because I don't know if you know this, but first responders are committing suicide at the same rate we are.
I believe it. Honestly, I've watched some TV shows. I'm like, I don't know how, like I've been overseas 5 years. I don't know how you guys do it. Like just even just the documentary, I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Well, see, and I wanted to be in the medical field when I joined. That was the whole purpose of joining. Then afterwards, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm not going to be part of it. And I was telling somebody else, I just remembered I was putting in my claim that for the last 6 months, I mumbled. They sent me to speech therapy thinking there was something wrong with me. Yeah, there was something wrong. I was done. I wanted nothing to do with that anymore. I was just wanted out. And those things that you do and deal with, and all the stuff I'm telling you, nobody knew about. I got on radio 2018. Nobody had a clue anything that happened to me in my whole life. But because I'm on talk radio, real estate finance, all that kind of stuff here locally, everybody knows everything about me now. I'm on so many podcasts, lives, everything I've done, 10,000 hours. There isn't anything as a secret anymore.
But I think that's a big thing is sharing those things. Like for when I wrote my book, my sisters read it and they cried. They had no idea. My aunts, my cousins are like, damn, dude, I had no idea. Even people I've served with in the National Guard or people I work with are like, I had no idea you were going through all that or you've been through that. And I think that's important is to share the things because, PTSD or just, mental illness doesn't affect just us. It affects our families too. And when I spoke to a good buddy of mine and his wife was talking about like what she sees in him, like it affects everybody entirely. So I think I love the fact that you're including first responders, military, and their families because everybody's affected.
So I had my kids there, my daughter. So not all my kids. My son was not local. He was deployed at the time. And then one of my other daughters, but my oldest daughter, Roche, and my grandson was there, and they both walked. And it was such a powerful thing that and this is not everybody knows it, but she asked her husband for a divorce because she didn't have the fear anymore of being able to go on her own. Because that's what we talk about. The fear is what keeps us back and the whole thing. My grandson went up and hugged the dude that put on the firewalk, Dave Albin, that he worked for Tony Robbins for 20 or 22 years as the fire captain. And so my grandson hugged him at the end and said that, first he asked us, can I hug him? Go hug him. And so he went and hugged him. And Dave had his mic on and he was telling me, he's just like, you're a great person, blah, blah, blah. He had no idea his mic was still hot. You can see it on the video. It's at the end there. But as much as that changed my grandson's life, it changed Dave's life more by him coming up and hugging him as a 7-year-old kid coming up, thanking him for letting him walk across the coals. And that's how powerful this stuff is. I don't care what people say. Oh, it's no big deal. You just take it. It's one thing to go, I know how that works. It's another thing to actually do it.
Exactly. I think that's what you just said right there. That's powerful alone. Like we can be the biggest analysts in our heads, but actually doing it.
Yeah.
That's what makes a difference.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would tell you to tell everybody, because like we're limited by 220, a little bit more than that, but I'm saying 220. So everybody has to sign up to be there because we're only doing it one day this time. And the goal is to get enough awareness out there that by next year that we do, we have to move it to like John Thurman Field or something where we have thousands of places to be able to do it. The amount of people are coming behind it this year more than last year, because last year we just told a bunch of people we knew. We didn't tell everybody because you can't. It's one of those things so now it's out there and people know about it, and the website's set up. The only thing that's not done on the website is I haven't updated my video from last year. So it's still last year's video about me talking about being the president of Rotary. I'm going to have that done in the next 2 days. They're on me about it. It's one of those things. I got all this other stuff I do.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's the fact that just doing it, right? You literally set out, say one person, but now you're
That's cool. Yeah.
impacting people more than you know. And I think the fact that we just have to do it. Don't overanalyze it. Just do it. You need help, just go for it. Figure it out.
Sign up, bring your family, sign up for everybody, get income. It's dinner. It's the Two. So one of the speakers is a dude that's at the UOP. He's Stan Rapera or something. I can't think. He 35 years, Navy and Army, and then he works at this. He created a whole student center building and everything at the UOP, and he's going to talk about fear and everything that puts us behind. And then the other guy is a fire captain from 9/11, where 2 buildings fell on him, and he was back there the next day in the rubble. So, and yeah, so last year we had Dave Sanderson, who was the last person off the plane that went in the Hudson, and he got everybody off the plane. So we've had some really good speakers come and talk, and we're going to have it again this year.
I think that's powerful, especially when you have people that are like done these crazy things and they're saying like, like for fear, right? They're telling me how fear's not letting them. Now you're like, I could do it. Like if they could do it, like I should be able to do it. Right.
Yeah. And Dave Albin is the guy who runs the firewalk, who worked for the guy. And his thing's up right before the right before the firewalk, board break, all the stuff. Yes, we know pine board breaks, but it's just the symbolization of it that you're doing that, we watch all the karate movies. We know how they do that stuff.
Exactly. It's the feeling, the moment, and the meaning behind it what makes it important.
It's your board. You write on there what you're trying to break through, and you break through it. And then next thing you know, you walk out and you start walking on coals. So.
Yeah, especially people think like, who would think to walk on coals? But now the meaning behind it, it makes it more powerful.
Right. And the fact that I have a guy who actually put on Tony Robbins' event doing it is even on top. I want to make sure nobody burns their feet. Nobody does it wrong. And that's why I pay for this guy to be here, because I can get somebody else, but then I've heard people can burn their feet from it. And then what we did last year is we gave out Zippo lighters from the same ones that they put in their pocket in the World War I.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's so much meaning behind what you're doing. That's powerful. I'm definitely going to look up your website and I'll probably be there. Definitely.
No, there's no probably. You already said you're there.
Yeah, right. I'm there.
And bring your, I'm just saying to get the word out, because we need more. It's about helping vets, and that's what you're doing. And I'm serious. I know how Amazon works. I know about author copies because I had a book come out to Financial Freedom, Building Personal Wealth Through Homeownership. And now wrote one just for veterans, and then I have a couple more. So, I mean, talk to me, let me know, and we'll give books to people that if you show up, we'll, have you a little day, we can put your books on, talk to people, and then we can give away the books after you sign them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important just to help everybody. So that whole probably I said, I'll be there May 3rd. I'm there.
Yeah. And so it starts get there around 4. We'll eat around 5. First speaker is 5:30. Each one's about an hour. And then Dave's going to be a half hour right before. I found out dusk is at 8. So we'll be walking about between 8:10 to 8:30. A couple hundred people, 2 lanes. We'll be done in walking in 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because all they got to do is get you to take that first step. You'll take the rest of them.
Yeah, definitely.
And we'll have pictures, video. Afterwards, they'll ask you about stuff. You a little quick video about it. I found out that if you do an event like this, you want to get the video the moment after they get done walking, not a day or so later, because it's not as big as after a day or so later.
Exactly. You're still in the moment. So
yeah, exactly. All right. So we talked about my stuff a lot, but let's talk about you more. All right. So you've done I thought I didn't know your book was so recent, and I don't mean that wrong. I thought it was. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I definitely want a copy of it signed by you. I'll buy another one, give it to somebody else, but I definitely want to get a copy signed by you. I like to have authors sign their copies that I get, if you will.
Oh, definitely. Like I said, you're in Modesto, so I'll go out there and visit. We'll have a drink or something. But
you just smell it in the meantime. It's fine. You don't have to come down for drinks. But that's fine. We can do that.
Yeah, definitely. So the release of my book was December 26th is the first day it went on Amazon. So everything's fairly new. I didn't know how to write or how to be an author. I just did it. I think.
Now, did you self-publish, of course, because if you
Yes.
do it on Amazon, did you upload it yourself, or did you hire a company to do that for you?
So I uploaded myself. I did hire a company to proofread and edit, put in the format. But the cover, I hired someone to do the cover. But the picture on the cover, I took that picture. I have a background in photography, so I was had a project a couple months back. I was like, I need something for my book, and I saw that. I was like, that's it.
Now, the company that you hired, because a lot of people want to write a book, and that's why I'm asking you on this. Where'd you find the company to edit it?
So I hired on Fiverr. So I just hired somebody. I hired actually a few people. I proofreaded their stuff, and some of them I didn't like, so I just paid them. Didn't use that edition, and then I found an edition that was somewhat I liked and went with that.
And how much does average it cost?
So I think a proofread and edit, you're probably looking around $500 to $700.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Depends on the word, how many words. Cover design is probably like, I think I paid about 150.
And that's all through Fiverr.
Yeah, that's all through Fiverr.
Yeah. Yeah, because I heard, I mean, you upload the picture and then you upload your text when you're putting your book on Amazon, and then you upload the actual format of the book, right?
Yeah, so you'll upload the format, the design where it's at, but you also, so they sent me a copy that didn't really work, so I just figured something out. I went use my own method of just like using Canva just to shrink the size or resize it.
You're talking about the picture, the book cover.
Yeah. So they sent me something that wasn't what I wanted, but I was okay. Well, I'll figure something out. So I just did it myself.
Yeah, I mean that's usually what happens with us.
Yeah, so like, unless you want to pay thousands of dollars and have one do it, like, yeah, if you have it, cool. But me, I didn't. So I'm like, I'm doing it myself.
So my first book, I had Scribe help me, which is the same company that David Goggins went through, and so self-published. But now the other 3 that I'm doing now, I'm doing it all myself.
Yes, I think
a lot.
Yeah, once you do it, like, especially like if you don't think about it and then you do it, it's like, okay, it's a little daunting, but now you're doing it. It's not that bad.
Yeah. Well, it's just like this. It's if you want a podcast, just get started podcasting. You're not going to be good at it. Just get going, then get good. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. Just get moving on it. Just like everything in my life. If you don't have your benefits, you need to go get your benefits. And that's easy to do. And again, if you don't want to go it alone, just reach out to me. I can get you hooked up with a few companies, and I don't make any money off of it. Just trying to help.
Yeah, it's definitely the important thing. Just do it. Figure it out along figure it out as you go, but just do it.
Exactly. Juan, anything else you want to say before you go? And what's the name of your book? You never said.
So it's Unbroken, Turning Pain to Purpose, My Story. Sorry about that.
Not the cost, right? Those are extra.
Yeah, those are extra. So the last thing I want to tell the listeners is ask yourself this question, whatever time in your life, whatever you're going through, just ask yourself, pain is a teacher. What is it teaching me?
Wow. That's really good.
Juan,
thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate you being here.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Go check out his book, and I'll have it in the show notes. Again, Juan, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.